So before jumping into the agenda, Michelle, I'm just checking in to see if there are any LF project related things that we should be aware of.
Nothing urgent. I was thinking that I think our current Slack is still under ONF, even though it's a free version. So at some point we need to move that either to an LF Slack, which will probably have to be paid, or an alternative similar platform.
Yeah, I'm wondering how long we can just stay where we are. I mean, I've thought about the same thing. I don't know. But yeah,
I think eventually we need to get rid of all the ONF branding.
Well,
So
I'd happily turn that into an Aether branding, except I think the both and Ono people still check in for those projects. So it's not quite an Aether channel.
Yeah, so those also need to move over and probably be split out.
So another point, which I tacked onto the top of the minutes here, and it's Mark just posted it, I saw as well to the Slack channel, is there is a link up here, and it's elsewhere in the wiki to the recordings of the past meetings.
Larry, did you click on the link? Because when I click it, it sent me to the Aether webpage.
Did I get the link wrong?
I don't know. I mean, I click on the link that Mark shared, so I don't know whether I did something wrong or.
I clicked on it and I got to a YouTube channel.
Oh, okay, then it's my bad.
Well, yeah, Mark.
Probably
Mark I posted the wrong thing, but yeah, that
okay.
is the URL right there.
Yeah, got there. Thanks.
I'll double check that I've linked it properly elsewhere too. Okay.
We're working on updating the Aether webpage too, so like all the social handles will be added soon. So if you
good.
Just the link, you'll be able to find them on the website too.
All right, so we have a couple items on the agenda. Gabriel, you wanted to talk about tiny repos.
Yeah, it's some work that we did with Gisland last week. Basically, as part of release 1.4, there were lots of tiny repositories, basically one file or one function or a couple files. So there was not much to the util repo. When we released 1.4, there were still, I think, 4 more tiny repos that we kind of overlooked at that point. So what we did last week with Gisland's help is we consolidated these 4 tiny repos into the util. So now it's everything consolidated. Those 4 repos need to be archived, and that's something I have asked DAF to help us archiving those. Last week, he also helped us archiving everything else, all the other tiny repos from before, but these 4 additional repos need to be archived. And based on that, which is aligned to the second bullet point that is in there. So based on that, basically we created new Docker images for all the different network, all the different components. And we did a few more improvements as well to the repositories themselves. And that's the new Docker images are being published. And a new version of Helm charts was published today that uses these latest images. Today I'm planning to work on a PR for on-ramp that includes that or that uses these latest images, and also add something that I mentioned last week about making it like a SCTPLB as default, and a few more things, default options instead of the previous comments that they were before from in the YAML files.
Okay, good. Yeah, I'll watch for the PR.
Mm-hmm. I don't see Suresh here, but we have also been working on creating not necessarily like a blueprint, but a way to deploy the UPF in DPDK mode for on-ramp.
I'd love to have that as a blueprint or instructions on how to do it. That would be great.
Yeah, no, he has something ready, and that's the other thing that we wanted to kind of discuss with you, and from the perspective that he needs to open those PRs, and somebody needs to review that. So, in my case, I don't think I am part of the on-ramp group to be able to review or approve any PRs there.
Yeah, I can fix that.
So it would be good either, I don't know, maybe Ajay and myself added there so we can review those kind of PRs. But yeah, so overall he has that ready and tested, working. He's planning to open the PRs soon.
Great. All right. I'm really happy to see that. Anything else, Gabriel?
Not on the top of my mind. I don't think so.
I added the next bullet, which is more of an open-ended discussion. And maybe as a discussion, maybe we should postpone it just a minute and see if there's any more status things that people want to talk about. So let me skip that just for the time being, and just, I don't know who all is on. If we've got anyone that can update us on anything going on with SD-RAN. See Alex.
Yes, I'm here, but I don't really have any updates.
Okay, we're
I
missing
think
Mujong as
Zhong
well.
is still in the process of training the new team members somehow, right? And so I suggested to Zhong to create a wiki page in order to document all the onboarding, such that we can then easily onboard new members.
That would be great.
Yeah.
Okay. And I just was hoping to get a little bit of an update on the rock migration to GitHub Actions. Did you get enough help out of DAP to get that done? I see Sean's not on, so maybe someone else knows.
Yeah, I'm here, but unfortunately, I don't know the status of it.
So we're waiting. So just looking down from last week, we're waiting for some secrets.
Okay. Yeah. No, that is sorry, I didn't hear that part. So yes, so the PR we got merged. The Helm charts were the new version of the Helm charts was published. The only thing that it was kind of like very strange to me, in on-ramp, you are already using ROC 2136, I believe, the version.
I believe it's 36, yeah.
Right. So, and the strange part, and that's something that I was having a discussion with Sean and Daph through Slack. That version got just published after I merged the PR. So I don't know whether how that has been, how on-ramp was using that version, if at least in the Aether charts, that version didn't exist. So that's what I was trying to figure out.
So 36 has been there for a long time, I thought. I mean, I remember Scott probably has forgotten it's been so long ago.
I'm sure I did forget.
So what you just said, Gabriel, is that the new chart is 2136.
No, no. What I'm saying is, when we merge the PR, as part of the GitHub Actions, what the PR does is gets all the versions from the charts repository, and if the version exists already there, it just skips, ignores that one. And if the version doesn't exist, then it basically publishes that version. That's what the GitHub Actions does. Now, what happened is we merged the PR as usual, and version 2.136 got published. And that's what I don't understand, in the sense that I was expecting that version not to be published, because that version should have existed already, because in on-ramp, you are already using that version.
Right, it was published, which implies it was new, it did not exist.
So the way I remember us handling this in the past was that there would be checks that would fail. One of the checks that would be done in CI would be to look whenever you submit a patch to see if that version already exists. And if the version already exists, then you refuse the patch outright. You don't +1 it with the validation. And you tell the developer go back and fix it. So I guess I'm wondering if that failed, but there's no corresponding check when you go to publish, because it's just assumed at the point where you publish that that this other check already ran, and therefore the it's assumed that it doesn't exist, and you just ended up overwriting it.
Yeah, no. Well, two clarifications on that part. So one, the GitHub Actions that we're using now for the ROC are exactly the same GitHub Actions that we're using for the SD core. And as part of the GitHub Actions, again, it compares with the index YAML file that is in the charts Aether. If the version is already there, it doesn't publish anything.
Okay, got it.
That's basically kind of similar to what we've done before. And now the second difference compared to the CI management from before is that now the ROC Helm charts are in GitHub. So the CI management has no idea about this repository, because before the ROC Helm charts exist in Gerrit, now they are in GitHub, and that's what I don't fully understand why version 2.136 was being used before, but it got published recently. So it's
But it wasn't published in. So where are you publishing to?
Charts Aether project.
Yeah. Well, we should go look at Charts Aether project. Obviously it's been working for a long time, and it's working.
Exactly. So, and that's what I'm trying to figure out, whether it's being pulled from somewhere else, or because overwritten. I'm highly confident it didn't happen that, because again, that's one check that happens based on the index file.
Okay, we are going to probably resolve it right this minute, but what gives? Yeah. All right. We'll go back and look into it. Interesting. Curious.
Yeah, alternatively, what could happen would be that the index file wasn't updated, which doesn't make much sense. And that's why, since that version didn't exist in the index file, that's why it got published. But no, that doesn't seem reasonable to me.
Yeah. All right, thanks. Yeah, thanks for the alert. Take a look. Anything else on ROC?
Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, no, go ahead.
Sean has a PR to kind of reduce the size for the different pods, but that's still under review. Besides that, the only complaint there was today, a user complaining that there is some issues with deploying the ROC. It seems like the data is not being loaded. So I tried to provide some input, but the user is still having issues. So Bilal and Sean, I asked for them help to kind of provide their thoughts.
Yeah, I'll go take a look. I saw that, and we'll take a look as well. Those model files, those JSON files, are extremely touchy. If he edited it at all and made it's hard to find where the mistakes are if you do.
Yep.
Okay, on-ramp status, Bala, is there anything? I know there was an issue with, shoot, my memories is failing me. An Ansible being out of date in Docker images, have you figured that one out?
I'm sorry, which one?
Well, the problem that AJ was having.
No, I'm going to do it today. I'm going to sit down with Gabriel and with Ajay today to fix those issues. I have not looked into yet. But yeah, it's on my today's agenda to fix these two.
All right, so the two issues, just kind of recorded it here, is
The issue deploying on-ramp in Cloud Lab machine. That's the Docker related issue that AJ is facing.
Okay.
And the issue that it's not an issue basically what I'm facing, but it's some improvement that I need for my deployment is Helm charts are used from the machine where the Kubernetes master node. So somehow we need to copy the Helm charts from the machine where OnRamp is running to be able to use in the master node of OnRamp.
yeah,
Yeah.
the local charts, yeah.
Yeah. The straightforward solution is, I guess, Gabriel, I think we will sit down and discuss it in more detail, but it would be to copy using Ansible from your master node to the, your management
From the
node to
OnRamp.
the master.
Sure.
Yeah.
No, either option, as long as it works, that's fine.
Yeah, it's going to work for sure.
Yeah,
that I can tell.
No preference from my side. So
sounds good.
Thanks.
Okay, thank you, Bala. And the last item here is just an update from Kunal on creating a working JJB for one of the integration tests.
Yeah. So I have created a job for updating all the jobs with Jenkins jobs with our new Git repo. So basically, there are two steps. One is a seed job, which would run on our built-in node, and it is going to update the Jenkins Ether Jenkins repo. Basically, it is going to pull the Ether Jenkins repo content in this on the Jenkins server, and there would be another cron job which is going to update the jobs in the Jenkins. So the seed job is ready. I have tested it, and this is all on one of the AWS servers. So that can be accessible to anyone, but there is just a credentials restriction.
Oops, let me do it this way.
Yeah.
So he's testing on AWS.
Mm-hmm.
And again, just for everyone's information, we're trying to put together one example JJB spec such that it's replicatable by anyone. He's running it on an AWS server, but that should also be configurable as well. It's wherever you're running Jenkins. This seed job on a built-in node.
Yes, right.
Is that, when you say built-in, what do you mean by that?
Built-in job for Jenkins is built-in node is the Jenkins server itself. So the Jenkins creates a default node which is basically it creates a node for itself.
Got it.
So this job is going to just pull the Git Ether Jenkins Git repo, and it will store it on the same server. And
So
this cron job is just going to run a Jenkins -jobs command, which is going to update the jobs in the Jenkins.
So I'm wondering if it makes sense, and this could be a second step, but ultimately it could be a GitHub action that does this as opposed to a cron job, I would think. Anytime something got checked into the repo,
Mhm.
is that on your to-do list, or have you thought about that possibility?
Yeah, I have not explored that side, but yeah, I can think from that perspective as well.
But I would prefer you get it, working end to end
Yeah.
first, and then we can worry about how we want to improve it.
Yes.
So continue on the same path you're on.
So this cron job thing is also tested, but the job is yet to be created. I mean, the functionality works that I have already tested, but the job is just yet to be created. So this is the only thing that is remaining here.
Okay.
So in addition to that, I have also explored if there is any other alternative to it. So there is a plugin which is Job DSL. So Job DSL plugin also takes in, I mean, it is more simpler way of doing the same thing, but it just takes in a YAML file or a definition, and it automatically creates a job for it.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
Do,
So
do we have
in that
anyone
case,
on the call that has enough experience with this that can offer suggestions?
yeah.
Nope. Okay. Happy to have help here if anyone wants to take a look, watch over Canal's shoulder and make suggestions.
Yep.
All right, thank you. Why don't we
So,
go?
Larry, I have one more point
Sure.
regarding the things that Gabriel has covered. So basically, as we are creating new Helm charts, so we used to have multiple jobs where one of the jobs used to be on the default chart, and we used to have a job where we used to pull the latest charts, right? So uh, should we continue with that, or because currently the latest chart job where we are pulling the new Helm charts is working as just default one. So should we have a new approach
So I
to
am
it?
missing who is
Mhm.
pulling these Helm charts.
So earlier we used to update the Helm chart versions in Aether on ramp, and then we used to pull those charts.
Right.
We used to deploy the latest charts. But now the latest charts and the default chart, both the jobs are working same. So
Well,
both are
yeah,
similar.
at any given point, when the latest has been updated and on ramp, then they will be the same.
Right.
Latest is a way to test what hasn't technically been. Well, I mean, on ramp's release process is slightly different than any one of the subcomponents. A subcomponent like Rock or Core could publish a new Helm chart does not mean that on ramp would necessarily immediately include that in on ramp. And the
Right.
general notion that was that we would give it a while and make sure it worked by testing both latest and default, and then updating default when we were satisfied it was stable. We've
Yeah.
not been extremely rigorous about how we do that, but that is the intent.
Right. So shall we continue with the, because earlier we used to update the SD core latest charts, latest chart versions in on-ramp, and used to deploy, run the integration test on that.
Well, I mean, to the extent latest just defaults out
Mhm.
the specified version number, we should continue to run that test.
Okay.
Latest doesn't change because latest always leaves the version number unspecified.
Yes.
Yeah, so yeah, we should continue doing that, even though some of the time they will be exactly the same thing we've already tested.
Right.
I mean, we could run latest manually and only do it when we knew we were testing a new version, but I don't think it's a big deal to test it every time.
Mhm. Sure.
Okay, thanks. So let's go back to the discussion, and I don't know for sure where this is going to go, but I know that at one time, AJ in particular started to put, and oh no, it was AJ and Gabriel started to put together a roadmap for the core. It's in a Google Doc somewhere. We should probably bring it front and center a little bit more, move it from Google into the wiki and whatnot. So Gabriel, AJ, you want to kick this off?
So Gabriel, you added this point. Maybe you can start.
No, I didn't add it. I was just asking what is the process to kind
Okay.
of create this roadmap discussion, because this, as Larry mentioned, he created this Google Doc probably like February. We started working on that, and at some point we forgot about it. So I had specifically two questions. One is, whether there is a process already in place on how we work regarding the roadmap. Are we gonna be a few people can already concentrate on providing input in this? How is it work? The whole process, right? So to establish the roadmap, not just the the document itself. The other part that we also kind of discussed in the past is right now, my understanding is we have the SD core is following release 15. So we discussed in the past, how should we move to a newer 3GPP release? Again, what is the process of how has been handled that in the past, and how should we do moving forward? It's more from that perspective, the question that I sent to you and Larry.
Yeah. Okay. So I think the first question, right? So how to make this process, or where do we write this process so that any new member, if they want to add anything as a possible work item for the roadmap, right? So Larry, is that a wiki is the better place, given that we do have now wiki?
Yeah.
So is that the place we can go ahead and propose, or like logically backlog can be maintained on the Jira, and wiki is where we can maintain the process?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So, well, I'm not going to jump out at here, but there's an SD course page,
Okay.
and off of that, just create a new page for the roadmap.
Yeah. If Larry, as usual, if you can just create the dummy page, that it would help.
Sure, I'll go ahead and create the page.
Yeah. So it will be more discipline in terms of arranging the pages. Okay.
Sure.
So I think so, Gabriel, and then need to work with the DAF also to make sure that we have the board set up where we can add the Jira tickets for the existing wish list items, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that's something we can do. Now, next thing is that once we have this process defined, once we have the big wish list, then based on our bandwidth, like everyone is working part-time or just extending their extra time to make some progress on SD core, right? So based on that, we'll have to take some modest target and define that, these are the few things we wish to take it in the next, right? And we should be very conservative, because no one has a definite time here, right?
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, of course, if somebody's signing up and if he or she knows that they can deliver it, it's good. So that's something like how we add the work item. Okay. And of course, we can discuss and prioritize things so that there's something which is most important comes at the top, and we have the balance of the most complex versus some simple items, right? Now, these things I'll put it in the wiki, whatever Larry shares, right? Then third thing is about the how do we upgrade the release, right? I think that's the critical thing for us to upgrade release. I can think about it as a two-step process. One is to just take the OpenAPI files for the next release, which is release 17 is what is stable. So just take those, just take in the sense, I'm not telling you to do it, but the way we should do it is that we should take the new set of OpenAPI spec for the release 17, put it in the repository, create the branch, put it in the repository. Then we have to go back and check the tool which we had used in the past, like to generate the code from the OpenAPI files, right? Once we reach to that second step of generating the code, which look alike the existing code, then we can do is that just for the test, we can take 1 or 2 NF, and then we can say that let's migrate this to 1 or 2 NF to use the latest OpenAPI spec, right? So this is like, this is like in simple terms, like what do you do? Like, let's say, for example, you're upgrading Golang. What do you do? Like, you just make sure your current code compiles when you're taking the new Golang version, right?
Yep.
But how do we make sure that we really make use of the new Golang version's capability? Right? The same way, when we are upgrading the OpenAPI spec and when we are moving from release 15 to release 17, naturally new features will get added, new capabilities will come into the OpenAPI spec, right?
Yep.
Now we should have the wish list, right? Okay, in the release 17, these are the features added. What is the most important feature we should add in the Aether, right? So that is the second process, second step. I would say the first most important thing is that get this OpenAPI integrated so that our code starts compiling with the new OpenAPI. And we continue to work with the existing simulator. And if somebody has the Gnode, we should make sure that we continue to interoperate with the older simulators or older Gnode versions. Yeah.
So from that perspective, basically, we should work first on the OpenAPI spec for release 17, and then the wish list would be basically what is going to be the input for the roadmap then.
Correct. So as we do the OpenAPI spec study, we will get a few big items, like what are the changes, and then we'll have to see. We 3GPP has like hundreds of features, and not everybody implements everything, right? It's like, and not even using it, right? So we have to see like what is important for the community, what we are serving, what makes sense to bring up, right? And then we can take up those things. The other two important things in the spec upgrade is that one is like PFCP spec upgrade, which is between SMF and UPF. That is relatively straightforward because only 2 NFs are involved there, and we are using the there we have some task of unification because UPF is using Go PFCP project.
Correct.
But SMF is using its own PFCP library. So if we can migrate even SMF to the Go PFCP, then our release upgrade will be very smooth going forward, right?
Yes, but question then. So do you think it's better to use the PFCP agent that the UPF has, or better to use the one from the SMF?
No, I would prefer the Go PFCP based. That means whatever the UPF is using. Right, so that's open source project. Go PFCP, just import and we start it. I would prefer that approach. Because it's easy to get those free things coming from that other project, right?
Yes. No. What I'm asking you this because in the UPF I need to move to start using the latest Go PFCP version. So basically, we are using the PFCP sim, right? So to use the latest version of that, and from that there are new fields that need to be added, and I start working on that, but I'm facing a few issues for the test, and that's what I wanted to double check. So okay.
Yeah. So one is PFCP upgrade, which impacts only 2 NF, UPF and SMF. Other is the OpenAPI upgrade, which will impact all the NF except the UPF, whoever is using SBI. Then there are 3 more like NGApp, NAS, and GTPU. So like you see, spec upgrade is like not just one thing, but all multiple things. So we'll have to see the balance, like how we can be less disturbing to the rest of the community and bring these things. But you can start taking the simpler things like in the steps, given the current community size, right? We can take it in the steps, and I can put those things in the Jira ticket, like what could be our plan to upgrade. Like these are 4 to 5
Okay.
areas: Open API, then GTP, then PFCP, and NAS and NGF. These are the 5 important pieces for us to upgrade, right? So. And it will go, it will have to go slow. In some cases, we'll be able to get the things from the free 5GC. In some cases, we'll be able to get something from Go PFCV project. But in some cases, we'll have to do our work. Yeah. So I'll put those things, and then let's take just a modest target for a month or 2. I won't be too ambitious to say like we'll be able to upgrade everything, but we can take one of the tasks from the upgrade and then go one by one. That's what I would say. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, we can work on that.
Yeah. And then of course we can take input from other people if they have any specific reason to take something over the other. Does that make sense?
To me, it does.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. So I shall add those details, and then maybe we can work offline, Gabriel, you and me, and to see like which one we want to do first. Okay.
Sure. Okay.
And then
I think
next week we can discuss more. Yeah.
Yeah, and documenting this on the roadmap, I think would be a good thing, so we can, the rest of us can follow it too.
Yeah. Yeah, because I think Christian has been asking about TSN, which is very specific to UPF feature. Then there are something Go PFCP will bring some of the UPF feature which are related to how we manage the slice or IP address pool. So few things do come up with the new release. Yeah. Okay.
Thank you. All right, we've got a plan. Is there anything else? Any other topics?
Right now, I understand DAF is unavailable. Do we have kind of like a backup support for the time that he is not available to help us with work?
Well, that's a really good question, and the answer is in principle, yes, but in practice, not so much. Michelle, if the question is, what do we do when DAP is not available and we need something?
So for the time being, I would be reaching out to Andy Grimberg, who's staff's direct supervisor. And I actually have a meeting about this topic with LF internally later this afternoon, just to get something more concrete in place.
Okay.
But for the time being, you can reach out to Andy.
All right, so to answer to Gabriel's question, Michelle and I will work on this and report back to the TST.
Okay, thanks.
And just for everyone's information, DAP is dealing with personal family issue, and it's taking him offline a bit, it seems. Okay, so thank you, and see everybody next week. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Everyone.
Thank you. Bye bye.
Thank you.